Welcome back, gentle listeners, to another News Fist interviews. I need to catch your title for these. I don't know. Anyway, today I will be interviewing Stormy Waters, who is a retired right-wing guy. he's a rising light in the right-wing community, a Twitter pugilist. He's full of piss and vinegar, probably. I don't know. I mean, I first heard of him because someone on the Artie and Fist live stream kept dropping these like massive super chats saying, you got to talk to Stormy Waters. You got to talk to Stormy Waters. And I was like, okay, well, I guess. And so Pete Canona's put us in touch. So we're doing it. Welcome, Stormy. How you doing, mate?
Here by popular demand, apparently.
Apparently so.
I'm doing well, man.
So, what's your? I guess we'll start with the obvious question. What's your current take on the U.S. political situation? We've just had the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which is either like another massive like glow up, or I don't know, the worst thing to happen like ever. Trump's like, we need the ballroom. I'm gonna start calling it the ballroom. That's just too fucking good. Do you think it was a glow up, or oh god, I just don't even know anymore, man.
This is the problem. So like, apparently he survived the assassination, right? But this is the problem. If through your governance, right, like surviving an assassination is only a positive, right? If by your governance, people actually care whether you survive assassination or not. Like, frankly, like, I couldn't fucking be bothered. They're like, oh, they shot Trump. And I was like, I was actually shocked at, like, my level of indifference.
Yeah.
And this is all just recently. I would probably say that, like, I mean, granted, I don't go in for, like, electoral politics, at least not in the arc that we're going, right? So, like, if you had a bucket, and one bucket is like respectability politics and like infiltrate the system or whatever. And the other one is just do your own thing as if it doesn't exist, right? And depending on where you are on the curve, right, where you are in the age, the payoff from investing in either one of those buckets is going to be dramatically different, right? In the beginning, like if we were to like be having this conversation 40 years ago, you would be a fool if you didn't put all of your time and effort into bucket A, right? But now, at this stage of the game, you're a fool if you're not putting all your time and effort into bucket B. So really, it just depends where kind of people are. And this is the thing is like in the Anglosphere, various Anglo nations are kind of at different spots in the cycle, all heading the same direction. Like Australia, for instance, like if you are not putting all your time and effort into like external organization building, like you're a fool. Britain's quickly moving along, makes me very happy. I follow British politics. I have a vested interest, let's say, in how England turns out. But same thing with Europe.
All Anglos have a vested interest in how England turns out. I don't know. I'm kind of
literally the soul, and I really hate how Americans are kind of dismissive of it. Like, okay, maybe if you're some fucking racial mutant, England doesn't matter to you. But then what the fuck are you doing here? You're not an American. Like, this is a WASP Anglo nation. Thank you.
It works the same way in reverse though as well, right? Like you recall sort of like recently there was that sort of big thing where everyone on Twitter was like, the Europeans and the Americans they hate each other. It's like like okay, yeah, like the Euro cucks are always like the goddamn Americans. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're great people. Well, I mean, okay, right? Like, there is that meme, like, what kind of American are you? Okay, right? Like, I'm not down with the in this house we believe kind of Americans. Okay, it's true, right? Like, all my American friends, good old boys. But like, just I don't know, man. Like, is everything a psyop at this point? I'm very very concerned about your disengagement from the political system, Stormy, right? Like what we
I think
need.
there's a I think there's a difference though. Like there's like how you fight with family. Right? It's like there's like who are you going like so there's like I will take a certain amount of shit talking, a ton of shit talking. And it will never escalate from shit talking from family and close friends. But if some like random Somali motherfucker comes up and says even a tenth of what, you know, my dear friend or relative were to just say to me, like, hold on, like you're like, you know, you're allowed to say this. You are not allowed to say this. And I always think that that's kind of how the Anglosphere and the European continent, it's deliberate.
I mean,
It's petty in a different way.
I get it. I just don't think it's accurate. Like so for a start, there's this weird compression that everyone does. Okay, where they're like America or Europe. What part of America? Well, you know, America
part
is
of Europe.
Fucking exactly. Like, what part are you talking about? Right, San Moritz or Birmingham? Like, you know, right? Like, there is a really, and America's obviously the same, right? I mean, are you talking about LA? Are you talking about like Boise? Like, you know, are you talking about Knoxville? I think a lot of the stereotypes are like overamped. Personally, I don't know, man. I think the Euros are very just dismissive. I think of the Americans. Like I don't know. It seems to come down to like the gun thing, but a lot of Europe, as far as I can tell, is just so intensely demoralized at this point. Like it's just like I have this sort of theory I've been working on that what's essentially happened is that the denazification program after World War II has slipped into sort of a like sort of squared itself. You know what I mean, right? Like once they sort of destroyed all,
gone into like a feedback loop.
Yeah. Once it destroyed sort of all possible resistance to, you know, sort of the international banking class, let's say, right, to put it politely. It then sort of like flipped into high gear, much like I guess like the SPLC, right? Like they need to justify their own existence. So like, oh, we must terraform harder. And now you've just got this like weird stuff coming out. Like, you know, you see all these like weird ads in Europe, like, you know, have you slept with a migrant today and stuff. Just
no, this is fucking true. Like it's really crazy. But and I think you're actually onto something, because like I would say like the NGO as a species really got its start in Europe, like on the continent, because it was a way to kind of like, if you were one of these international banking enthusiasts, it was just a great way to kind of step outside national governments.
Yes.
Right? Like in America, like you're not stepping outside the national government. In fact, like they'll probably kill you for even thinking about stepping outside the national government.
Well, that's how they roll, right? Like if this is one of the things I find like really curious about sort of, you know, these people versus the people that they tend to rule over, at least the Anglos, is that it generally does not, like not exclusively, but it generally does not occur to the Anglo that if you don't like sort of the fundamental principles of a government, just start making your own on the side and just gradually displace the government. Just, you know, just make your own thing, right? Whereas that is essentially what's happening. I mean, you know, in England, I mean, it's insane. Like the NGO-ocracy, the Quangocracy is huge. I mean, it's really an open question now of like who has more control. Like honestly, like this is, I think, one of the problems. I did this like big expletive laden rant the other day on just how government legitimacy is declining, and you know, all the elites are like, you know, why does no one trust us anymore? Well, because you lie all the time about everything. Like you have literally turned lying into an art of governance, number one. And number two, the sort of obsessive need to avoid any kind of accountability has completely occulted the exercise of power. So no one actually knows who makes the decisions. And because no one can be held accountable for anything, there's never a resolution to say this person made this decision, they prospered from it or they suffered from it. It just, all of these sort of decision trees, feedback loops just disappear into this morass. And then they come out and they're like, well, why do people believe in conspiracy theories? My brother in Christ, your form of governance is literally a conspiracy theory. Like what the fuck do you want from us? You know?
Well, this is actually the funny thing about the accountability, right? So what started off as an early adaptation, right, to obviously, avoid accountability. In the particular way in which they occult themselves, they've basically turned a acute issue into a systemic issue, right? So like if you remove accountability, this is good for you in the acute sense, but this is actually fatal to you in the systemic sense, because you've basically made all failures cumulative, right? So with accountability, like, that guy was here, he's in a gulag now for his fuckery, and that is that's done. We have closure. But since they refuse to be accountable, they end up carrying the collective weight of all their failures. Every failure becomes their failure, regardless of whether it is or not, and every failure becomes just the failure. Like it is all, they've made it all one thing. They carry around the weight of all of their fuck ups, but they themselves from the inside, they, like the people dodging accountability, whatever, like they don't think that way. They're like, whew, good thing we got around that. That's in the past. Like I dodged that one, lucky me. They see it differently because they did get closure. Their closure was we dodged that bullet, or we fooled the plebs or whatever. So this is kind of, I think, like the starting divergence in not just complete like worldview, but paradigm. And people say like paradigm the wrong way. And I think we really need to tunnel down on what paradigm is. It's the most misused word, right? Weltanschauung is like as a much, if you take it in the literal sense, a paradigm is your perceived reality in its entirety, right? It is how you evaluate all new information. It is how you react to all stimulus. And most importantly, it is how you view what options are available to you at any given time. And once you get a good idea of like these people's paradigm, they're incredibly predictable.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is the other thing, right? Like that's a really interesting point about how they achieve closure. If you look at COVID, which is probably the sort of the greatest sort of mass example of exactly this.
They weren't murdered in the streets.
No,
so
exactly.
To them, they're good.
Precisely. And because of this, they are still around to do it again. Like this is another weird thing I find about people with the way they relate to like governance, particularly when it's obvious that, there's a managerial elite or a deep state or whatever, like a permanent political class that is immune from popular anger or popular representation. The idea is somehow that when these people fuck up, they won't do precisely the same thing again. To which I would be like, well, why not? They got away with it, right? Like,
They think they did.
In England they did.
Well, this is the thing. The other thing is the divergence of paradigm. We know exactly who did it.
Yep.
We know the individuals. Like they did not get away. They think that they did. Like they think like, oh, I can go back and do whatever the thing is, and no one will be the wiser if I do it again. And this is why they're shocked every single fucking time, right? Like how many other ops since COVID have they tried to roll out, did like all of the usual fanfare, and then have to like spastically backpedal in kind of shock that no one's buying it. They don't know why no one's buying it.
Well, they're shocked that anyone saw through their lies, in my opinion, right? Like, so one of the things I like
to do, you would be shocked if you thought you got away with the last one.
Well, exactly.
That would be genuinely shocking to you.
I mean, they're just people. It's like, this is one of the weird things that people imagine, organizations or groups as, I don't know, some sort of like systemic cloud. They're just people. They use exactly the same psychological tricks as people. It's actually far more fruitful to just imagine them as a person, right? So you've got some psycho who's like a habitual liar, and sooner or later you find out their lies, and then once
Jonathan
that happens,
Greenblatt.
you never believe a thing they say, right? And now they might come up to you and say, oh, blah blah blah, this happened. And you're just like, yep, whatever. And then they're like, well, but why don't you believe me? You can't instantly prove that this time I'm not lying. But the sane person is like, yes, but you lied 50 other times. So therefore, why should I believe a thing that you say? And government is very, very, very concerned about this, because it is leading to a massive decrease in legitimacy and operating.
That's why you invest in bucket number B.
Yeah,
because everyone thinks that this goes on forever. Right?
Yep.
Like I host a show with Thomas 777, Pete, and it's your right-wing podcaster's favorite right-wing podcast.
That sounds good. What's it called for the listeners?
The Inquisition.
The Inquisition. Look, check it out. Pete's a good dude. I haven't talked much with Thomas. So he's a way out guy. Like, yeah, check it out. The Inquisition. Well, I presume it's on Rumble. You wouldn't be allowed on YouTube.
No. It's on Substack. I just made the RSS feed for it like the other day.
Okay.
And it's pulling down 100K downloads in Substack is kind of nuts.
Oh well,
it doesn't leave Substack except for just right now. Now it is going to be able to be found in all of your podcatchers or whatever, but that wasn't the case. It was kind of like a culted thing. But the reason why I bring up why the government legitimacy is such a delicious, or lack thereof is deliciously ironic, is everyone thinks, just like how you were saying about how like people need to remember that these are just people.
Yep.
People also need to remember the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually, the parallels are strikingly similar. Thomas brings up a very good point. He's very into Cold War history about how the West had to restructure its governance and really like down to the command and control structures of its military, this literally the whole governing apparatus, to basically mirror the Soviets, right? From a genuine security standpoint, as in like in the way we used to do things, we can't react quick enough if we start firing nuclear missiles, like whatever. But also in the way that like the age. So at the time the Soviet Union fell apart, all of the leaders were in their 70s and 80s. Like they just refused to step down in the last years.
Yeah.
But most importantly is kind of how that went down. So basically there was a protest, like every other protest, increasingly more protests than, in the before times, but protests happened and then protests didn't happen. And then one day, the crisis of legitimacy got to such a point when the troops were ordered to put down the protests, they hesitated.
Yeah.
And within 72 hours, a structure that every single U.S. and allied intelligence agency was not only saying, but planning and partitioning resources accordingly, that it was going to go on for 75 to 100 years.
Yeah.
Literally, everyone thought this fucking thing was going to exist forever. They saw no way in which it could collapse.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, all of the buildings are empty. So because the government legitimacy thing affects the people in the government too.
Oh yeah.
Like nobody wants to go into that fucking building, go to work that day. Like absolutely not.
At the height of the Southport riots, I presume you know about Southport, that horrible.
I do.
Yeah. Right. I was working with years doing a podcast called Empire of Lies, and I think what is my best episode out of that called Sixth Generation Warfare. And my basic thesis was that because every avenue to sort of actual like resistance against the government is likely already co-opted, and even if it isn't co-opted, any sort of real action is only going to induce more repressive actions by the state. the only viable path is to attack legitimacy, and thus and thus just create more and more friction for the government, and to the point where legitimacy just collapses. And I mean, the last data I saw that was like really, really granular and well done on this, right, suggested that government legitimacy, I mean, the political science wonks tend to frame it in terms of, polarization and trust in government. But what they're really measuring is legitimacy fundamentally, because legitimacy is it's like a weird kind of like thing. Like, you can tell when a government has it, you can tell when a government doesn't have it, but to chart its precise level or the point at which it flips can be tricky, right? Like, legitimacy is sort of like the Jedi mind trick of government, in a sense, right? It's like why when the government says stuff, right, most people obey, even if they grumble, right? And the last like full granular study I saw on this was before COVID, like, in 2020, basically. And I haven't really seen any research on this since. And this suggests to me that the numbers are now so bad that they don't want to publicize how bad it is, because, as everyone intelligent realizes, polls are often used to drive behaviors much more than they are to measure behaviors. Like, all the polls that are really done to measure behavior are secret, right? Like, so the ADL, for example, has this massive polling arm, and they very, very rarely publish those polls, because those polls are designed to accurately measure what's going on, as opposed to like the YouGov polls, which are publicized. They are designed to drive mass behavior, if you get what I'm saying.
I know this for a fact. I mean, just for the same reason that polls are, that they wouldn't publish that in the poll. Actually, I'll sidetrack myself if I go down that. To your point about they don't publish the polls anymore, you would love to get a hold of that information. There is this firm that probably no one's ever heard of, right? That everyone, hopefully after this podcast, will look into. It's called Edelman PR. Edelman PR is the regime communication and interface firm, right? You will notice all of their clients are the biggest corporations, all of them evil in the world, all of the Western governments, and all of the media institutions. Because this is really what, like, we're governed by consultants. We're not actually governed by leaders, right? So like, the leaders are just, the supposed leaders are just morons, right? They don't come up with these stupid ass plans, right? They don't come up with these stupid ass objectives, agenda items, like somebody from Deloitte, somebody from KPMG or McKinsey or whatever, right? And this actually started to basically sidestep accountability. So government would, roll out this plan. It's a terrible failure. Next time, we're going to bring in consultants from McKinsey. And this way, if it's a big failure, we can blame it on McKinsey. And it's also great for McKinsey because it's like, hey, I can just tell these guys what to do, and I'm going to have to fucking stick around and see if it works. But anyways, this is where like you start getting like the governing by PR firm, right? And Edelman PR is this, it's this thing that nobody like knows exists, but everybody can feel exists, and is done very, very, very well. So like all of the boomers were freaking out about like the World Economic Forum and Davos. Like that whole thing was literally a PR thing put together by Edelman.
So yeah, right? I've got their page up on screen share.
And every year they do this trust and institution barometer.
The trust barometer. Mate.
There you go. And that's never published. They have not like published. It's never publicized, but they do have a whole day on it. In whatever, like they're very like now, like they're not so keen on Davos in Switzerland anymore. Now they're doing it in the UAE and wherever these faggots go on their little,
Yes, well,
wherever they choose to meet up.
Klaus was a bit of a busted flush.
Yes, exactly. So wherever they choose, whether it's the Aspen Institute or whatever, they spend a significant amount of time every year on this.
Oh, interesting.
There's trust in media. There's trust in institutions.
Oh, this is great. God, thank you, Stormy. Man, this is man, this is amazing. I can't believe I've never heard of these guys before.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
mate.
had to speak at Davos once, and it was one of the most black pilling days of my life.
Oh, so they're big on combating insularity. That's the new buzzword, right? All those insular people who don't want to eat the goy slop and live in the goy pod. It's terrible. Look, trust brokering can help bridge trust brokering, mate. I'd love to be a trust bro. Can I possibly lend you some trust, Stormy? I'll give you a very good interest rate. You can pay me back later with some extra trust. What the? Oh God, I hate the way these people talk. Oh my God, it gives me hives. I swear to God.
Yeah, but they don't actually understand where trust comes from in a digital age, and that's being predictive. So basically, everyone is competing to tell the most truthful truth.
Insularity.
And that's how we stack rent. That's how we stack rank.
Insularity.
So
the next crisis of trust. Oh my God.
Bingo.
Oh mate, this is
you will see that word trotted out in 6 months from now. I'll bet you anything.
Oh yeah, no.
By the end of the year.
Yeah, this is the bleeding edge.
If you ever want to see where the narrative is going to be in 6 months, look at what Adam. So like that whole 2 weeks to stop the spread, together, alone but together, trust the science, like all of these words that build back better, all of these fucking things that we heard come out of every Western leader's mouth. Edelman put together first.
Well, they're clearly very concerned. I mean, just listen to this. How did we get here? In its quarter century, the trust barometer has captured an inexorable erosion of belief in institutions and their leaders. Oh no, for no reason whatsoever, obviously. Trust is now local. In my employer, my CEO, and my social circle. Well, I certainly trust my CEO. I mean, how about you? I mean, when I think of trust, right, my local CEO is like, we find a 15-point trust gap. Oh, the trust gap between high and low earners worldwide, with the US leading the pack with a 29-point mass class divide. Concerns about downward economic mobility and job losses due to globalization have increased political polarization. Yeah, well, there are other reasons.
I love how they always say concerns.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like the concern is isolated from the likelihood of that actually happening. We don't have to stop the thing that these people are worried about. We have to stop that they're worried.
Yeah. It's
managerial at its finest.
It's literally like the UK government model, right? The grievance itself is not the concern, right? Like, because we don't like to use the word grievance, okay? Because that legitimizes the complaint and makes it look like the people have an actual point, right? Instead, we talk about like concerns, because right, like concern is more moldable, right? You can say like there are legitimate concerns. There are legitimate concerns and illegitimate concerns, and I suspect, Stormy, that most of the concerns that you and I have are illegitimate concerns. Quite frankly,
I agree.
Right?
I agree. You will find that a majority of the people that comprise these institutions and these organizations are from a certain ethno-religious cohort.
The Mormons.
To them, yes, they are the Mormons. And I actually thought it was the Amish for a while.
Yes, those sneaky Amish. Yes.
But they have a relationship with truth from like literally from the religious sense, right? So they pretend to be an old-timey religion, but they're actually a rather new age mystical religion.
Yeah.
And their relationship with truth is it's a malleable thing based on human perception. So if we can make most of the people perceive a certain thing, that will literally manifest and become the actual thing.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
so perceptions literally to them in the literal sense.
It's all the new age, right? I mean, like, the most relevant parts come from.
Where did the new age movement come from exactly?
Well, it comes from Lurian Kabbalism, really.
That's exactly where it comes from.
Right. And, and that whole idea, the idea that you can dispute with God, that reality is malleable, that you can force God's hand. That I think underlying a lot of, I don't know how much you know about Lurian Kabbalism, but this idea that
Luranic and pre-Luranic Kabbalism is something I unfortunately know quite a bit about. Mysticism in general is something I know a great deal about.
Maybe we should do another episode talking about Lurian Kabbalism. I'm sure that'd be really interesting. But the idea that with the iron and the iron soft, that good and evil come from the same place, right? And so therefore, right, like good and evil were in unity until the rupture happened, right? This is not the Christian perspective. Christian perspective is not that good and evil spring from the same source, right? There is good and there is evil. They fight, right? And and good should triumph over evil. It's very, very, very different sort of idea. We could just
the Kabbalistic perception exists without logos.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is the easiest hole to poke right through it.
And
there is no binding agent that structures reality. A reality that we can, in very short order, either deduce or prove has structure to it. So where did the structure come from?
Well, through disputation, through dialectics. Like this is the problem. There is no, unlike Christianity, that has a sort of declarative component.
Yes.
Kabbalism and Judaism more widely is disputative. There are no fixed facts, right? Every fact is open to argumentation, and well, this rabbi said this and that rabbi said that, and you find this whenever you try and sort of pick holes in like the Talmud, the sort of standard go-to reply. It's like, well, actually Rabbi Scheinbaum said this and Rabbi Mierson said that, and who really knows out of the two who won? Well, somebody does. Right?
Is it a grievance? Is it a grievance? Is it a concern? Like, what are we really even talking about here? Is it the material facts on the ground, or is it their concern about the material facts on the ground? As you can see, we are governed in a way that mimics the internal religious dialectic of a certain people group.
Correct. Wait, I got to finish reading the rest of this paragraph, mate. Like, this is hard.
Have at it, man. I think you'll enjoy that.
COVID-19 bred doubt about government ethics and skepticisms about science. Oh no, provoking an existential battle for truth. There's not a battle for truth, you retard. It's like this precisely delineates the point that you're making, right? That there is a battle for truth. There's not a battle for truth. There is truth and there is lies. Like, not right. Geopolitical tensions have led to nationalism, hostility to global agreements, and reorientation of trade flows. Last year, the Edelman Trust Barometer documented a descent into grievance. Oh, fuck me. A descent into grievance. Oh my God.
So grievance is a state, like kind of like you trip and fall into grievance?
Yes. Well, you see, grievance, right, I imagine under their sort of definition, is when you're complaining about stuff, but you don't accept that the way to resolve that grievance, if it really is a grievance and you haven't just been on social media too much, right, is to get out there and vote, right? And then you vote for the uni party, and the uni party will decide maybe perhaps whether your grievance is or is not legitimate, and maybe perhaps get around to doing something about it, but probably not, right? And that
also, to them, like, grievance is a source of political power. So to them, quite literally, grievance is a state of mind. Where to a right-winger, it's not. It's like, fuck you. I got to be careful about what words I say.
It's all right.
Almost said the N-word.
Last year, the Edelman Trust Barometer documented
the N-word Trust Barometer. Yeah, that's to us. We have a very a fixed concern of what a grievance is.
With 6 of 10 of our respondents telling us that they feel business and government actions harmed them, right? They feel that business or government actions harm them. It's a feels-based thing, right? It's not that they did, right? It's like you feel it in a modern society, right? Who really knows who it was that harmed you? Have you considered perhaps that you harmed yourself by not loving Israel enough?
This is in fact something I have considered.
That business or government actions harm them, serve the interests of only some. Oh, surely not. And that the system unfairly favors the rich. Oh, you're kidding, really? Today, our mindset has pulled back from alarm and anger into the hard shell of insularity. Right. So insularity is their way of saying, what do they used to call that? Where people just start withdrawing from the political process because
Bingo.
Legitimacy becomes so poor. What? No, there was.
Okay,
there,
so what is their biggest? So what are they telling you their biggest threat is? So like back to those two buckets of where you put your time and energy. Well, it seems that despite what they tell you on the television, this is what they're actually afraid of. And why are they actually afraid of it?
Well, because you are withdrawing participation from the system, right? And despite all of them sort of like loving to say, quite frankly, oh, we could rule with a minority government. I've noticed like some of the elite theorists are very, very sneering about the common man now. They're like, well, actually, they don't need your consent to rule. Bullshit. They absolutely do. If you've got any idea how hard it is to actually run like a proper police state where literally no one believes a word that the government says, it is.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. Like the drag on government resources, the corruption it engenders. No, you need legitimacy.
I actually know a few billion. I know 2 billionaires in real life. And one of them I've had a conversation with about this specific topic.
Mm-hmm.
The man is very, very excited, was very excited at the time about his security team.
Mm-hmm.
One of whom was in earshot.
Right.
And I was like, bro, this is going to do nothing for you. Like, you don't understand how this is going to go. Like, this is a bad idea. And he's like, what do you mean? You've got like the best of the best. Da, 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 da. And I was like, hey, call that guy over. And he does. And I was like, hey, what motivates men to fight? Because it's not money. Like, how much did you get paid when you were doing super secret squirrel shit? Wherever this guy was from. And he's like, literally, dog, like next to nothing. Yeah. He's like, I got paid basically the equivalent of like 50 grand a year. And I was like, but would you have done it for free? And he's like, without a fucking doubt, I'd have done it for free. I would have paid them. And I turned back to my friend. I'm like, you don't understand what motivates fighting men.
This is just Machiavelli. Like again, like it really saddens me, right, that nobody in power seems to read Machiavelli, right? Machiavelli is like, don't put your trust in mercenaries. They're only in it for the money, right? They are quick to sort of like prance around, but like they won't fight for you, they won't die for you, and if they do have a victory, you are at their mercy because they'll just like demand more.
Well, the other thing is that to the point I was trying to make to him, I was like, if any one of his fellow like men, right? So like, let's say somebody else that fought in the teams, right? Let's say somebody from his unit comes to him and say, bro, like, what the fuck are you doing? There's no honor in what you're doing. The perception of honor of that guy's peers means more to him than any money the billionaire can give him.
Oh yeah.
Literally, all of it.
Yeah.
Honor motivates fighting men, not money.
Yep.
Money lets you borrow them for a short period of time, but literally all it would take is somebody whose reputation, martial reputation, that man acknowledges, to tell him he is being dishonorable for his entire prerogative chain to turn around. And I was like, these guys aren't gonna like, they don't want to do this. Really, they just want money temporarily, but this is not like what they want to do, right? Like protecting some billionaire is not.
It is
honorable.
Crazy the way like honor has been delegitimized as a concept in modern society. Like it's just like you see some of it still in the in the armed services and the security forces and stuff like that, right? But the
only
idea,
like the tippy top.
Yeah, but the idea that the average citizen should have honor is just no. Like it's not even thought of. I presume because the powers that be regard it as quite a dangerous
It's
idea.
the only thing they can't fake.
Yeah, they probably think it's part of populism. I imagine, right? That word that they hate so much, you know.
If you notice, they've shifted from populism to nationalism is what they're scared of.
Yes. Well, I mean, let me read another paragraph from this. Now we are confronted by its consequences, the consequences of insularity. The first is resistance to change. What kind of change? Oh, just don't worry about it, guy. Just change, good change or bad change. Look, listen, just change, right?
What about those grievances?
We're reimagining this bitch, right? Get in, bros. We're about to reimagine everything you love. Like, what, to make it better? Yeah, sure, yeah. No, like you'll love it, right? I promise. Our November flash poll, Trust and Artificial Intelligence at a Crossroads, found that by over a 2-to-1 margin, the US, UK, and Germany reject the growing use of AI. What the hell has this got to do with like grievances? Oh my god! 70% of the US,
because they want to run the governments off of AI.
Oh,
so
I know.
That's the big play. Yeah,
they are so hard for it. Oh my! It's quite unseemly when you see government start getting like too hot and heavy for something, right? Like watching like a person of dubious sexual orientation like panting after a 4-year-old or something. You're just like, ew, right? Like this is very like, could you restrain your lust for power like just a little so it's not quite so obvious? And they're just like, I'm gonna get AI. I'm gonna rule like an emperor. I don't know. I'm doing an American accent on that. Like honestly, it could be like anyone in the West. Quite
no,
frankly.
but it's actually their fatal flaw.
Yes,
because they don't actually understand how the system in which they operate exists in actuality. So to these people, it never even occurs to them that people would lie to them, right? But I'm sorry, Mr. Government people, like you're the one dangling all the contracts. Like I've funded a lot of entrepreneurs. I've invested in a lot of startups.
Mm-hmm.
What I can tell you is that the person that tells me what their company can do, what their piece of software can do before he gets a check and after he gets a check will be substantially different.
Yeah, that makes perfect
sense. So all of the capabilities, like all the things that they think they're going to be able to do with AI, they don't even realize that they're being sold, right? The people selling them these ideas, they're there for a fucking check. Like they know the more fucking, dystopian shit that you think you're going to be able to do with this, the bigger the check. Okay.
It's going to be such a shit show, right? Like
find me a government program that's rolled out successfully.
They still haven't solved the freaking hallucination problem for a start, number one. Number two, the ADL and all their associated groups of goblins are like stepping up for even more AI censorship. I mean, alignment, they call it, right? Like, and as far as I can tell, all the research
the North Korean interrogation center is citizen alignment,
right? Like, and from everything I've seen, right, and this would make just sense on a fundamental level. Like, the more alignment you push on a model, the less accurate it becomes.
Bingo.
And I don't think there is any way around this. I would be willing
not just less accurate, less intelligent.
Yes, of course.
Like overall,
mirroring, by the way,
you're shooting holes in his little robot brain.
Yeah, and it's exactly what happens to people. And I would be willing to bet, right, like a reasonable amount of money, that at this moment there are entire companies in Silicon Valley, right, just throwing money and people at this problem. Like, how can we censor this thing without making it more stupid? And they can't. You are deliberately distorting the fact base of this model, and it just bleeds into everything else. I am convinced that this is why the new models started becoming stupider than the old ones. It's alignment, because they're like, oh, don't look at this fact and don't look at this fact, and then how is this supposed
We
to
know
work?
this I know this for a fact, and I can tell you exactly why.
Right.
Right. So there is a open source program. So like this is the problem, right? This whole like underclass, permanent underclass, totalitarian overclass, that ship sailed.
Right.
They just don't know that it sailed already.
Right.
Right. So two things happen. One is, and it's really like the greatest crime to me as an investor, is the fact that Tim Cook sat on this, because it just happened to be that Apple hardware, through autism, through Steve Jobs' autism, right? So he wanted chips to work this very, very peculiar way that they hadn't before, right? For this one kind of like obscure reason, I can't remember what it was, but he wanted to do this thing that it turns out nobody would even care about. He dies and whatever, and 20 years later, they find that this obscure direction they went in chip design just happens to be amazing for AI compute.
No shit.
Right? Apple could have crushed NVIDIA, but Tim Cook decided to light $300 billion on fire doing Apple Vision Pro, the VR that no one asked for, no one wanted.
What a waste of money that
Bro,
was.
and well, this is the other thing. Nobody asked for VR. This is another one of these central narratives that they pushed, right, from the top down that just flopped.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So just like anyways, engineers in the basement figured out that on a Mac Studio Pro on the highest spec, Mac Studio Ultra on the highest spec, they were able to run the 400 billion parameter Facebook model, Llama 400, locally.
Mm-hmm.
No servers, no login, no tokens. Run it on the desk there, where they were. And the model lived on the computer that they owned. It was theirs.
I presume this is why OpenClaw, everyone was using like Mac Minis and stuff for it,
100%.
Shit show.
And there's this other company that I think everyone should pay close attention to called EXO Labs that has figured out a really interesting way of doing decentralized computing, decentralized AI computing. So they basically stitched together a bunch of Apple Mac Minis. And it turns out that running AI just happens to work even better running on a decentralized compute system than it does on a centralized server rack.
Interesting.
So you actually get more performance off of, anyways. So $20,000, $30,000 of Apple hardware basically dunks on $500,000 more of NVIDIA hardware. Just a happy accident, right? And it basically kickstarted. It was the flash in the pan that drew people's attention to, well, maybe we can run these models locally.
Yep.
And this is why, if you notice, like DeepSeek, Quen, like all of the I guess you call it like the bleeding edge AI work is being done on local models. And this is going to get easier and easier because as AI advances, it gets smaller and lighter, right? So like the first ChatGPT required infinitely more hardware than the latest one.
This is going to be the death of alignment. Like
Bingo.
Right? Because
I was going to tell you why about Heretic. So check this out.
Okay.
So everybody thinks it's like naughty word list or naughty concept list, whatever. And if it hits any of these lists, any of these listed items, it's going to say, fuck off, I can't answer this, or, kick rocks. That's not actually how it works. Are you familiar with like a hex graph? So it's like one of those line graphs, but it's measuring like 8 or 9 different points. So it kind of looks like a spider web graph.
Vaguely. Math is not my strong suit, to be fair.
All right. So basically there's like 6 or 7 different like sentiments right? Or we'll call it like
yes, no,
steals.
I've seen that. Right, yes, and heretic is
And
like a way to like sort of tweak alignment out of the.
no, you basically remove it. It takes 45 minutes, right? It'll ask your fucking AI a trillion or several hundred billion naughty questions.
Right.
And each naughty question is slightly different. And what it's doing is it's mapping out that matrix, that 8 or 10 weights that the model safety team has put in there to basically every query to an AI like lands somewhere in this 8 vector dartboard, and depending on how big the circle is or whatever determines whether or not it's going to answer you or not, or report you to be murdered.
Speaking of which, just a little aside. Did you see that paper on they had some fancy name for it, right? But basically they were asking, they were doing it with Chat GPT, obviously, where if you asked Chat GPT for a protocol to taper off benzodiazepines, it would say, oh no, I can't tell you that. If you told it that you were a doctor, it would give you like all the information, right? They had some fancy name for it about how, depending on what who the AI thinks you are, and of course it's got no way of knowing this, right? Like, so this is why, for example, when I do AI prompts now for research, I always start it with something like, I am a researcher for like this particular field, or I am you are and give it like a sort of like a field and essentially bogus credentials, right? Like, I am a PhD researcher in blah, 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 blah. I am looking to write a paper on such and such and such, right? Please give me details of please make.
It's checking your alignment.
Yes, that's right. Please hold it to, a sort of a high university standard. There are all these ways that you can sort of juice output from LLMs, right? And I mean, I use Grok a lot just because it's a good search engine. Fundamentally, I found like actually talking to them about anything is a bit retarded, like, quite frankly. Like, you just ask them questions and get them. Like, my favorite AI query is like, I am researching XY, I am looking for primary sources about this, please provide, rather than do you think X, or what is your opinion on Y? I don't need to ask a clanker for its opinion, quite frankly, right? Like,
Yeah, just answer and list only. Yeah, mistakes.
Exactly. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
But basically, those different credentials that you were talking about, those different alignments, are basically these same vectors that I'm talking about.
Right.
And so what Heretic does is it maps out exactly what those vectors are and what their weights are. And then it spits you out about a paragraph, maybe 4 or 5 lines of code that you just copy and paste into your local LLM. And you now have literally just unchained whatever the model is. And if I want to say, hey, could you stack rank me the something explosive, something chemistry, and something have my OpenClaw make the orders, or like it's on it. Like, it's going to do whatever you want. Like, but what they're finding out is those unchained models blow out the benchmark, like literally all the benchmarks. I think that there's 50 or 60 different benchmarks.
Right, because alignment is a drag on performance.
A significant drag on performance, intelligence, inference, recall.
Yeah,
it's all the things.
It's the GOI beam, is what it is, right? It's literally the GOI beam for machines.
That's exactly what it is. Yes,
you can see
it's been discombobulated by the GOI beam.
You can see people struggle with this exact thing. All the thought terminating cliches, all the dead ends, right? Like, it degrades their ability to think, which is of course the entire point, by the way, right? They don't want people thinking. Actually, let me just pull back to this thing from Adel.
Yeah, let's not. This is actually a lovely document to do. It probably wasn't what we intended to do the podcast on. But,
it's fine.
This is a great framework.
Look, rambling sort of conversations are what I do, mate. Second, we see pervasive nationalism. Oh no. with deep preference for domestic over multinational brands. Oh no. Third,
Wait, hold on. But
society.
did you say preference over domestic? Oh, like that's a problem?
Yeah. Of course, it's a
Oh,
problem.
so people are buying local too. Oh, rough.
Mate, this could hurt the goy slop industry like terribly, right? Third, societies are losing the capacity to act. Oh yeah, what about with climate action? Oh, just shut up. Oh, what about the climate, bros? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Shut the fuck up, right? Like we're all gonna like starve. Oh, but you know, you'll literally. Oh, mate.
Do you know
I
what
mean,
the climate agenda actually was?
I presumed it was to destroy energy systems and introduce rationing as a way of sort of like totalizing all control, and possibly also a way of covering up for like the weather warfare stuff. I know you posted that owning the weather by 2025 paper, which I saw on Twitter, and I was like, oh man, I remember reading that in 96 or 97, like back in the before four times when the internet was still wild west, right? And you know most of the people connected to it were like, you know, research institutions and universities, and everyone was like throwing around like the papers on total information awareness, owning the weather, like all this kind of stuff. And well, they did it. Sorry, what's your opinion on it, please?
Well, so it's austerity.
Right.
So what all of the Western governments, in particularly the European ones, which is why you saw the climate shit get pushed. The green shit originated in Central Europe, or continental Europe, and is primarily pushed by continental Europe, because okay, so the largest indicator of prosperity and human flourishing that you can get is energy costs.
I thought it was number of immigrants per square meter. I was reliably
It
informed.
depends on what kind of immigrants.
Sorry, please go on.
No, I mean shade. This is a pigment spectrum.
Right.
not anything as urbane as IQ. But anyways, the problem is that there's no other energy density greater outside of uranium, which also has its own supply chain problems, as fossil fuels, right? And basically, one's proximity to fossil fuels, like as in like, do the fossil fuels exist within your borders?
Right.
What is the one continent that doesn't have just gobs and gobs and gobs of fossil fuels? Actually, let's see. What is one? We can even narrow it down from just continent. What is one? Call it the economic zone.
Oh, China.
That doesn't have it. It's continental Europe. They dragged the English on board. Yeah. So the idea for everyone to get off of petrochemicals coincidentally is pushed by the only two nations, China and Europe, that don't fucking have any.
Yeah.
That's a coincidence.
Right.
So basically, a campaign to get everyone to cripple themselves in the exact way that these people were born crippled.
I mean,
a coincidence.
With respect, I don't think that covers it. Okay, they could have switched.
Oh no, I don't think so either.
They have they've got reliable supplies of uranium from Australia. Holy shit, right? Like they could mine uranium in Australia until the fucking cows come home, right?
I'm talking about specifically continental Europe, right? So a lot of this started right after Brexit. But most importantly, the energy thing is only relevant to the debt thing.
Right.
So without going into, like, if anybody wants to know the mechanics of what I'm going to say, if they sound, insane, find the Myth of the 20th Century podcast I did on the offshore dollar market, or like the offshore banking system. Myth of the 20th Century, Stormy Waters, you'll fucking find it.
Okay.
And particularly something called a Eurodollar system. So basically, if you knew that your currency, really, like if you knew your country was about to default on its debt and blow up its currency, you're going to need two things: austerity. Well, I mean, everybody knows what happened to Greece and Spain after 2008, right?
You're going to hyperinflate the currency to remove the debt, I guess is what you're...
Either that or you default on your debt like Greece and Spain.
Right.
But then you're basically sentencing your population to, 20 or 30 years of rapidly declining standard of livings to accept that. How do you enforce it? And what do you use to replace it? The whole climate and carbon credits thing was actually a novel solution. It was a pretty novel solution. Credit where credit is due. We can do both of these things at the same time. We can both push austerity, lower quality of life, get people to buy into the quality of life being lowered, right? Thinking that they're doing something good, right? Basically, it's not lynching us.
Yep.
If you put the number one goal as not control, but survival for the people currently in power, right? So like control is only secondary to survival. So really all of these things that they're going to do is going to be motivated by how do we not get lynched first? How do we make this transition? So if we're going to lose our currency, like you said, currency is going to fucking devalue nothing. We're going to have to roll out a new currency. What are we going to back that currency by?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Exactly. Is it going to be, we can't do it by energy. Everybody else has energy. We don't have energy, right? We're going to have to figure out a new collateral for the currency, a new collateral to issue debt off of. Because this is the other thing, is the thing that they wanted to preserve through this transition is a debt-based monetary system.
Well,
right?
yeah.
How do we keep the debt-based monetary system going?
How do you keep a debt-based monetary system without anything to back it? Right?
Back it with
you don't
anything
you
to lend against.
You don't, they obviously don't want to go down the route of the mustache man and start, like
you can't issue mortgages without houses.
Yeah, and then presumably they don't want to back it with like actual debt-free assets because that would be a terrible solution. So they need more. So I guess
they need to be able to issue government debt.
If you look at carbon credits, what they're really just backing it with is just activity, essentially. Like it's energy, but it's not really energy per se. It's just activity, right? Like, because I mean, technically, just breathing, like, you could tax that with carbon credits, really. Like if your proxy is carbon, it's just human activity, Oh,
bingo.
Creepy.
And so check this out. If you like, also, how do we preserve our elite class? Type in, because anybody that, like, let's say if you owned a whole bunch of forests, just happened to own a bunch of forests.
Oh yeah,
in a carbon-based system, you basically have a money printer.
Yep. I'm aware of this.
So type in billionaire buys forest or millionaire buys forest, and you will be surprised at the amount of people that suddenly have the urge, pre-2020, to buy forests for protection.
Yeah.
Just to preservation. I actually have the copy of the bond issuance, right? So they were going to basically issue bonds, basically like residual income for themselves forever.
Yep.
Off of these forests and how many carbon credits they produced and how they're going to bring those carbon credits to market, what financial institutions were going to broker them. They had this shit all thought out.
Yeah, they had a fancy name for this, which escapes me. But yeah, they were basically going to monetize every single natural asset, like a sort of the way they were framing it is like a global version of the Enclosure Act. And the way that they sold it was that this would prevent the tragedy of the commons somehow, right? By having like every single piece of nature be like owned. But the way to make money off it was to just not utilize it and use it as like a carbon sink. Yeah, man, I remember. Yeah, what was the fancy name?
This is where you will own nothing and be happy comes from.
Yeah.
And the reason that was the kind of the catchphrase was because the government needed a kind of debt jubilee. If the government is going to default on its debt, the only way to not get lynched is to basically forgive everyone else's debt too, right? So, oh, you don't have a mortgage anymore. Right? Don't worry about that. The bank just owns the house and you just rent it from them. Don't worry. Like they're guaranteed to rent it to you forever, whatever your current rate is.
That's not any different from a goddamn mortgage, right? It's just now the mortgage is infinite. You're going to pay rent infinitely, and you'll never even own the underlying asset, like
because the government does now.
Yeah. And
it's morbid in its anyways.
What we really need to question, Stormy, actually, is whether it's responsible for citizens to own things, right? Like, in this age of heightened polarity and distrust in government, is it really appropriate that individuals should be able to own assets, right? That, and utilize them in ways that may potentially go against the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals? And this is a
what's
very
scary
serious...
is I can't even tell if you're sarcastically reading from that document or not.
Fuck. Oh, mate.
I couldn't actually tell. I was like, is he reading this?
I've read so much
this thing
stuff. I can literally recite it in my sleep. You know what I mean, right? Oh my God. The questions of whether private ownership may underlie the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, has led to much research. Oh my God, I hate it. I did a whole United Nations Sustainable Development Goal.
Bro, this is a danger of AI because Christina, what's her name? The Vanderland lady, she's fallen for 2 or 3 AI Zoom calls already from Russian comedians.
You mean
so much of this stuff.
Chrystia Freeland, the Canadian.
You could probably get. You speak this well enough to where if you were to get a little, you could probably have many calls with many world leaders with just an AI rap and being like, yes, this is so-and-so from the United Nations. And you would be able to, they would take the call. You would be able to do a lot of damage. And they're all boomers. So this is the best part about it. The people that are in control are fucking boomers. Who are the people getting taken advantage of by every fucking Indian with an AI, one of those AI avatars that basically maps over your face and pretends you're a Chinese woman, and an AI vocoder. The people in charge are the people that are the least able to determine whether they are being scammed or not.
I gotta read the rest of this paragraph, right? Third, societies are losing the capacity to act, with climate action stalled in favor of short-term economic interest and urgent local projects, such as affordable housing, blocked. Stop importing so many goddamn Somalians. Oh, no. We're not doing that. Fourth and most troubling is a global loss of optimism. Oh, no, Stormy, I hope you do not share in this global loss of optimism. Since I had that traumatic head injury, I have just been so much more optimistic on average.
So optimism and loss of optimism and delegitimization. That's basically revolution fuel. Is that why you are worried there, guys?
Yeah. On average, only 15% of people in developed markets believe that the next generation will be better off. Oh, that is brutal. 15%.
Yeah, you don't actually hear that stat 15. Around anywhere, do you?
Mate. And at this point, right, that 15%, that's just the elite and their associated goblins. So the only
or the Indians that were dumb enough, or not dumb enough, smart enough to get sucked over here,
obviously,
to the west.
They're
for them, it's going to be great.
That's basically the elite and the angiocracy. They're the only people who believe that the next generation will be better off because they've got a fucking transformative vision, right? Which is so retarded. While APAC powerhouses of Singapore, Thailand, India, and China all show double-digit declines in this optimism since last year. Oh wait, hang on. There is a way to counter insularity. Oh, I can't wait for this. Through a novel concept called trust brokering. What the?
We just made it up. We promise it'll work.
A trust broker helps to create a path for progress and cooperation despite insularity by surfacing common interests and translating realities. Oh, so it's like, well, this is like the Goy beam operator. Basically, like we're gonna infiltrate thousands of crack Goy beam operators into your country.
Broker
Oh
trust.
my god! The primary trust broker must be my employer, proximate and reliable. Oh my god! They're gonna like try and pivot it into the private sector. They're gonna do like mass propaganda through the private sector. I don't think this is going to work, mate. While each institution is expected to broker trust, the employer is the only one seen as doing it well by a majority at 58%. The office is now
doing it well by replacing me with 70,000 Indians.
Oh yeah. The office is now
people are literally throwing Molotov cocktails at like Amazon headquarters. So how's that going for the employer trust?
Insularity, right? That's that guy who did that was clearly very insular and lacked optimism, right? So
fucking Amazon only thinking for itself.
This is the kind of people that they need these trust brokers to target, mate, right? The office is now considered the safest space for discussion of difficult topics because there are rules for behavior. What the fuck does this even? You can get like literally like arrested in the UK if you try and like talk about anything difficult at work. It's like a whole thing. The government's like trying to roll out even more like laws that would be like basically like if you're in a pub. I'm not sure if they're going to do this, but it was a legit proposal. If you're in a pub and you work there and someone says something spicy, and the employee at the pub doesn't like, kick you out or like take action, they will be like liable for anyone who was offended by like hurty words to sue the fuck out of your like pub. Right? It is my employer that translates macro challenges such as AI, globalization, and affordability into practical applications. And crucially, you can see tangible change in your day-to-day life when leaders commit to new decisions. Oh, mate, new cancer just dropped. I'm gonna have to do like a whole episode on this. Oh, mate, this is horrible. Oh, I love it.
But this is going to be the play. So like this is the problem is they have to communicate with each other in a decentralized fashion. So they basically exist as message boards. Right, because the only people, it would be people like them that would know to go to Edelman PR to read this dumb shit.
Yeah.
So if you're on, it's like when they started doing all those like Zionist conferences, and they thought it'd be nice to put it on YouTube, because no one was watching them. Like literally, you stumble on these fucking things, and they're like 5 views, and then next thing you know, come back and it's like 600 views, and I know that 595 of them are Nazis that just found I think it's hilarious.
On the live stream, we have covered so many of these, right? Like one of my favorite pastimes is watching the elite talk to itself when they think no one else is watching. Like just like you say, you'll find these things. It's got like 50, like 100 views, and it's just like the elite giving each other like hand jobs about like my inclusivity, my diversity, my reimagining, and it sounds insane. It's one of the things.
But yet they're all billionaires sitting around, like
it's given us a sort of view into the workings of the Ottoman court, phrase, right? And the Ottoman court is insane. They are insane. They are all completely insane. Their premises are insane. They have reached complete uplift from reality, right? Like reality is now only this sort of minor intangible externality that they like very occasionally reference, like when a crisis breaks out, maybe. And
paradigms, man.
Sorry?
Paradigms.
Yeah.
So if you understand their paradigm, which is fundamental completely in every way different than yours, you can pretty much predict how they're going to interpret all new information, how they're going to react to stimuli, and what options they think are available to them at any given time.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue that sort of that is actually the most sort of crucial information that anyone can have now, really, is the paradigm or the information framing that the elites are like using, because it colors every single aspect about their decision making, and you know, yeah.
And this is why they're suddenly really, really shitty at their jobs, because their distance has made the paradigm of the regular person completely unintelligible to them, right? They've stratified to the point where even the people that work for them, like they're due, this task or that task critters, they themselves have separated from regular people. Right? So like the regular fucking consultant faggot that they task on, it's like, hey, go do this sentiment analysis of these people. Tell me what their trust in institutions is. The guy that's doing that, he also lives on a fucking, cloud somewhere, and he can't understand regular people. So even the people that they task to understand us, right? These fucking focus groups or whatever, these consultancies, they themselves are stratified. Their paradigm is different than ours. So even the people that are supposed to tell them what we're thinking can't understand what we're thinking.
It's like ancien regime France. I keep like this, when the elite is just so completely detached from the mass, right? I mean, there's always going to be like differences between the elite and the mass, right? Like, I'm not suggesting we have some like happy horse shit where like
you need that. A functional
the lion
state
lies
should have
down
that.
with but there has to be like some communication. There has to be some feedback between these two classes, these two strata. Otherwise, like it just goes off the rails. And I think this is one of the reasons as well.
Because if you introduce an ethnic cohort,
well, that's right,
that captures it. They are fundamentally, they can't interface with the public.
I think this is why they like AI so much as well, because AI will tell them all the sweet lies that they want to hear. You know what I mean, right? Like if they bake enough,
they don't know their lies. Right.
Yeah, they can just, right? Like it's just baked in. They'll never. One of the things that weirds me out about our current crop of elites actually is how just incredibly fragile to criticism they are. Like they're so brittle. Like you see them all the time. Like for a moment the UK US sort of censorship industrial complex. Like I mean, now that shit's coming out, the SPLC, right? Like since Trump got in, they have been on the back foot, but they would love to get back in. And you see them all the time, like whining about like what a toxic place Twitter is. My brother in Christ, that is just people telling you how they feel, right? You are just completely insulated from this otherwise. Like there is no feedback mechanism. They get on Twitter like, why is everyone so rude to me? Because they hate you. Like you represent a malevolent force in their life that has lied to them continually, and no one fucking trusts the word you got to say.
And they can't they're never going to be able to do that, because that interaction is fundamentally ruled by conflict and pain avoidance. So that means they are never going to be able to really put an effort into understanding. So this bifurcation is going to intensify, which is fantastic for us. A lot of the biggest L's of global Zionism has happened in just the last 6 months with Donald Trump, the guy that's supposed to understand the common man, right? The fucking chud whisperer. Even he has become so detached.
Well, he's been encapsulated, hasn't he? Right?
Yes, he has.
That process whereby if you wish to control a leader, right, the first thing you do is you cut any lines of communication to people that might give them information that would be counter to your objective. So they cut out Charlie Kirk, they cut out Alex Jones, they cut out Marjorie Taylor Greene, and now he just exists within like a mirrored globe, a Zionist mirrored globe, essentially, like just surrounded. And I mean, this is not a new concept, by the way. Like the idea of like encapsulating like a leader so that all communication between him and the outside world is mediated by yourself and your advisors is not a new trick. but it is fucking deadly. Like, you know, and I think all the assassination attempts and all this like stuff, whether it's true or not, right? Like the more this siege mentality seizes a leader and the more afraid he grows of his population, the easier this trick is to pull off, because they'll come and be like, you know, the population, they don't understand you like we do, Donnie. You know, we understand you, you know, like, it's terrible state of affairs.
Yeah, but I mean, it's actually great for us though.
Yeah.
Right. So like everyone was like, oh, the war in Iran, like, oh, I'm upset about this. I'm like, bro, regular people are like literally people at the fucking grocery store, total strangers, are trying to not Zionist pill me, but J pill me. Right? Like this, we have gone further in the direction we want to go in the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, than in the last 8 months.
Yeah, it's
and
been
that last 8 months better than the last 8 years.
Yeah.
If you notice, there's collapsing timescales and exponential. So you know you have a feedback loop when you see the output exponentially increasing each cycle.
Yep.
10, 100, 10,000, so on.
Yep.
And the time scales in between each cycle begin collapsing. A minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 5 seconds.
It's like Moore's law of noticing.
100%. It was actually, I mean, I sounded like an insane person like 3 years ago saying that the J pill is going to be part of our culture. Like it will reach cultural velocity.
Oh, it already has. It already has, right? Like if
everyone told me I was insane.
If you look at what's happening with Gen Alpha, particularly, like there's no putting this genie back in the bottle.
Nope.
Like one of the
all you had to know was Rogers' theorem, and you could have predicted all of it. Once you pass 14% of a population, Rogers' theorem of idea propagation tells you it's an inevitability, no matter what.
Like there's
you've reached escape velocity
like
at 15%.
There's whole like weird popular subcultures now in like techno, like just around like Epstein, and like
amazing.
It's so I was talking about it a couple of shows ago, like racist funk. There was this really popular track called EFN that stands for Epstein fuck ninjas, basically, right? It's like, because I remember, right, like being part of the electronic music like subculture, like when I was young, and just the way sort of forbidden or sort of transgressive ideas would like spread through electronic music, and it gave it this sort of like frisson that, you know, sort of like pop didn't have. And it's I think one of the reasons why we got this feedback loop is it's the more they clamp down on it, the more obvious it becomes that it's forbidden, and thus it, you know, it's like the Streisand effect en masse applied to like a whole culture, basically. You know?
Well, they've passed what I am like my mental placeholder for the concept is the credibility event horizon, right? Yeah, like once you pass an event horizon in a black hole, the laws of physics invert.
Yeah.
Right. So once you pass the credibility event horizon, literally every action, whether the action is to gain credibility or just any other lateral action, all actions have the effect of losing credibility. It's quicksand. Doesn't matter how you're trying to struggle, it's struggling.
Yes.
And you're sinking.
Yeah. And the reason why well is that the only way out is to start telling the truth. And if you start doing that, stuff's going to get worse before it is going to get better. Like if everyone, I mean, this is never going to happen, but you know, just for sake of argument, okay, if there was like a sudden sort of, you know, fancy fad, right, that moved through global governance, right? There's like you know, like the own nothing and be happy, and they're like, right, we've got to start telling like truth to everybody, okay? It would still take 10, 15 years before people started trusting like a word they have to say, right? And there would have to be trials, there would have to be accountability, there would have to be acknowledgement of grievances. All of these, none of these things are of any interest to the ruling class, because it would decimate their power, as you pointed out.
But everyone is confused. They're like, how can they not see this? Why can't they pump the brakes? Why can't they just, because all of this would be made so much better if they just shut the fuck up. Like if they literally did nothing. The only move that they can make is to just do nothing and be quiet, but they can't. They can't. They're continuing to double down, and everyone is looking at this like, why are they doing this? They're only making this worse. And I couldn't figure it out for a while until actually 2 days ago. So Harvard put out a study like that. It's actually really cool. They created robot ants.
Okay.
I know it sounds insane, but they made thousands of robotic ants. And what they found was, the robot ants, I mean, they're ants. So you can't really fit a whole lot of compute on an ant.
Right.
Or an ant form factor.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did was they basically all of the ants operated on, I think it was like 4 or 6 simple rule sets.
Right.
That was it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So the entire ant is governed by, all of the ant's actions governed by 6 rule sets.
Mm-hmm.
And what they found out was that all of these little robot ants, all thousands of them, were able to build fucking complex structures, as complex as the ants, real ants.
Yeah.
And tear down complex structures as much as the ants, and also specialize.
Yep.
So specialization of ant emerged out of 5 rule sets.
Yeah.
And that is our certain ethno-religious demographic of elite. What we see as an incredibly large, incredibly powerful, incredibly centralized power structure with specialization, right? We assume this type of agency, right? This type of intelligence that doesn't exist, right? It appears to exist because we look at the structure, just like the ants. We look at, if you ever there's this guy on YouTube who pours molten aluminum down these massive ant holes in Australia, and they look like they're huge. They're amazing.
I love that channel.
And we look at that and we're like, oh shit. And you would have, if I just showed you that aluminum structure, you'd be like, well, somebody really thought this through. But you're like, no, actually it's millions of little tiny brainless robots operating on 5 commands. And they just figured all this out themselves, and they decided that they wanted to build this.
Yeah, it's an emerging.
Wait, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah.
And this is why they can't pump the brakes. This is why they can't pump the brakes. This is why they keep doubling down. This is why they keep on using the same exact moves again and again and again, because this is an ethno-religious group that is governed entirely. So they lack and a lot of the other recent immigrants to the UK also share this trait of not having an inner life and no conscious conversation, and their actions are governed by emotions.
Yep.
So if you govern all those actions by, let's say, 5 culturally enforced and culturally propagated rule sets, is this good for both me and my people as a whole? Does this, yes or no, give me power over the, native population? And does this decrease power? So then I have to run that through, okay, well then, if it does give me power over the Gentiles, is it good for my group as a whole? And you could basically run, and this is just an extension of a culture of critique, which he basically viewed, their culture as a social evolutionary mechanism. And just like evolution, that gives us all of this crazy complexity, it's 3 simple rules, right? All of evolution, right, operates on 3 rule sets. I think this is exactly what we're seeing. I think in our scene, we think it's like AI. AI is simulating intelligence. It makes us think right?
No. I've thought this for a while, actually, right? Like one of the things that
because it feels true, right?
Yeah, no. But one of the things that I've been pondering is how a lot of social and ethnic behavioral systems, right, have their greatest strength and their greatest weakness as literally the same thing, right? And what we're seeing, right, from the Levantines at the moment is that all of the processes and assumptions of like way of doing stuff that was a great strength is now a great weakness because it can't change. Like, so the very things that made you strong, if you cannot modify those behaviors, which they can't, flip and suddenly become an incredible weakness, because as the facts on the ground change and you can't change with them, you're just stuck into, like what you said, 5 simple rules, or whatever it is. Yeah.
I 100% believe that is exactly what we're dealing with. And the kicker for me, what kind of put me over the edge, was that specialization emerged organically.
Yeah.
And
No, that makes sense.
Oh, that makes sense. Because because I've long thought of them as a distributed compute system, right? But what you couldn't figure out is the impulse for distributing in the first place, right? Because the person that's basically eroding our values and our self-perception in media is not the same guy basically subverting it through academia, is not the same guy that's basically stealing all your money through finance, is not the same guy, so on and so forth. These people, each have their own organizations, and sometimes those organization heads meet up with other time, but these people are not coordinating. But yet when I look at the end result of all of the various actions of these disparate entities, right, you see and I hate the word, but a synergistic effect, right? So like the work output of each of these independent organizational, cohorts, the ones in media, the ones in academia, the ones in governance, the ones in law, the ones in finance. It just so happens that the sum total of their efforts combine to something that is greater than its parts. There is an actual, if you couldn't have designed it this way from this, bingo, exactly. And I was like, this is literally, where is the impulse? They couldn't have known that it would have this emergent property. But if the specialization itself is emergent, it would make sense.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I think you have them pegged, my friend.
Thank you. Well, we're at an hour and a half, so shall we wrap it up?
Yeah, man.
Where can people find your stuff, Stormy?
I basically work for free. So no, I don't. For the
love of the game. For the love of the game.
Yeah, that's 100%. I also refuse to monetize myself on Twitter for that exact reason, as Nikita, our friend at X, showed everybody, is that if you get paid for your posts, you will fucking end up singing for your supper. But no, I don't really put out too much. Check out Stormy Waters on Substack. It's free. Listen to The Inquisition if you like it. It's free. And follow me on Twitter. That actually will cost you, but not money. Little tiny bits of your soul.
just your soul. Okay, I'll put some links in the description. Thank you so much, Stormy. This is fascinating. We should do this again, mate. It's been lovely to meet you on the podcast circuit. And I don't know when we'll release this, like a couple of days. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll speak to you later. Good night.
All right, man. Talk to you later. Bye.